I come to the end of the road, and the sun is set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. I cry for a soul set free. Miss me a little, but not too long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember me, but let me go. For this is a journey we all must take, and each must go alone. It's all a part of the Master's plan. A step on the road home. When you're lonely and sick of heart, go to the friends we know, and bury your sorrows in doing good deeds. Miss me, but let me go. Hi YouTube, this is Eric. I wanted to share with you the experience that I had when I got a call that my dad had committed suicide. Before I go any further in this, the one thing I want to stop and just let others know, there is a debate out there between taking their life by suicide or committed suicide, and don't use the word committed suicide. I'm going to tell you right now, if you get into that debate, try losing a loved one to suicide. It doesn't matter what word you use. It's talking about the subject, and it's an important subject that we need to talk about. So I lost my dad in 2017 to suicide. My dad was a doctor. In fact, here is his memorial service pamphlet. Memorial services were held August 19, 2017. It was the Sunday previous to that I had gotten a call that my dad had taken his life. And leading up to that, I had already went through a lot of challenges in life. And this story by no way is for any kind of pity or I'm sorry or you've been through a lot now. We all gone through a lot in life. I had gotten sober because my marriage was falling apart. I lost my job and I was ruining my life. So I made the decision to get sober on the 25th of July of 2017. 3 weeks into my sobriety, my wife and I were actually separated at the time. And I was living with a friend, and she was living in our condo. We had started kind of dating, in a sense, seeing if we could repair what we had. And every Sunday, I made it out that that was my home meeting for AA. So, coming up to that week, I had found already a new job, and I was running a dealership. And I talked to my dad the Friday before he took his life, the last time I ever talked to my dad. And at no point in the conversation with him was there any thought of him taking his life in 2 days. He was laughing on the phone with me. We were planning on talking on Monday. My parents were my rock, and they still are. My mom is still one of my rocks. And when I go through a bad time, they know that I'm going to call them nonstop. And at that time, I was talking to my dad nonstop. I was talking to my mom nonstop. I talked to him on Friday, and everything seemed good. And I'm explaining to him the new position I had, and they were proud of me. They were proud of my sobriety, and we were laughing. And it came down to, you know, I was going to talk to him after the weekend. And the one thing I'm thankful for, though, is that I told my dad when we were leaving the phone, and it was something that's a family kind of tradition in a sense, is we always tell each other we love him. So I got to tell my dad one more time that I love him. So the weekend came as any normal weekend did. Sunday came as any normal Sunday did. I went to my AA meeting. I talked with my wife, and I had planned on cooking her dinner. And I was all excited. They were deep fried onions with meat rolled in the middle, kind of like a big, like almost a hamburger, but in a ball. So I was all excited about this. I went to work. I had my newcomer 24-hour chip, and I had been saving those. It's in my pocket. I kept it in my pocket every Sunday when I got a new one. So I get done with work, and it was a great weekend, and you know, I talked to him on Friday. I talked to my mom and dad on Friday. My dad's laughing. and telling them how I love them and thanking them for being there for me. And they're telling me how proud they are of my sobriety, and I'm just telling them how great it is just being in their lives. And no signs at all. So the weekend gets done. It was a great weekend, and I'm excited now getting off of work, going to see my wife. So driving, no thoughts in the world. I mean, I'm focused on making these like meatball onion like sandwich deals I found on Pinterest. And I get all the ingredients for it, and I show up, and her and I are talking, and things are going great. And I start prepping the meal a little bit, and it's about 9 o'clock here in California. And we go outside, and we're sitting down, and we're smoking a cigarette together, and we're talking, and my phone buzzes. I put it to voicemail because it's really important that I gave my wife all the time I could, because we're separated at the time. We're trying to repair our marriage. And just out of the blue, I buzzes again. Put it through to voicemail. And my wife asked me, well, why didn't you get that? And I'm like, well, it's our time. I look at the phone, and it's my brother. My brother lives in Michigan. There's a 3-hour time difference. It's midnight there. It's kind of odd. My brother's married, 4 kids. Like, why is he calling me? All of a sudden, the phone rings again. My wife's like, pick it up. So I pick up the phone, and my brother goes, I tell him, hey, what's up? And he goes, I'm just calling you to let you know that Dad died. I mean, my dad's a doctor, and I knew he was under a lot of stress about retiring. He loved being a doctor. He loved helping other people. And my heart just kind of sunk a little bit, but it wasn't even like a sadness almost. It was like just a sinking pit feeling. And so I was like, do you know what he died from? Because I'm thinking, because of how I knew my dad, maybe it was a heart attack. I mean, I knew he was under a lot of pressure and a lot of stress. And he goes, he took his own life. And that right there was a lot. And I just kind of said, oh. And I already went through losing a wife to suicide, and now my dad. And I couldn't cry. I almost couldn't feel any emotions at all. It was like I was overly numb. There's just a weight on my chest, and just overcome with almost a sadness. So we talked a little bit, and he said that they found his body, that the police did, and that they'd been looking for him. And I guess this happened all that whole day, and I didn't know about it. Nobody called me. I wouldn't have expected them to. And I told him, okay, I love him, and I'll call him tomorrow. And I hung up the phone. And even though I wasn't crying, I think the expression on my face told my wife enough. And she asked me what happened. I told her my dad died, and that he took his life. She actually had more emotion, outward emotion, than I did. I mean, she started crying, that. And in a weird sense, my dad and I had talked a lot. He was my rock through my wife's suicide. We talked a lot about suicide and the mentality behind it, and the thought process behind it. And there's a part, as weird as it might sound, that brought me some comfort. That my dad wasn't in pain anymore. Because I knew he was. I knew he took on a lot of people's problems. And that's where a lot of times people, I don't think, get depression. That it's in your head. It's not something that anyone sees. I loved my dad. I didn't want it to be like this. I wanted him to be able to retire. I wanted him to be able to enjoy life. And it started a long process. And it's still a process. It's still a grieving process. But I know he's in a better place. And I know he's no longer in pain. I know what was going on in his head. That terror that no one could relate to is over. So when I get emotional about it, yeah, there's some missing. There's me missing him. There's also a lot of me happy for him. Because he doesn't hurt anymore. We don't want any of our loved ones to hurt. I'm not saying it's the way out. I really wish he would have talked to me. I really wish he would have reached out to me. I would have dropped everything to be on my dad's side. But I also get and understand that he felt alone. I just hope that anybody out there who receives a call like that knows that you're not alone in that. And it's hard. And it's a hell of a journey. There's nothing glamorous about it. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of what ifs. But that's what my experience was like. It was a phone call telling me that my dad died. And as I sat there with my wife, figuring out how I was going to get to Michigan in the next day or two, as soon as I could, I stopped everything and I cooked our meal. Because that's what my dad would have wanted me to do. And I love him. And sharing about it is a lot of therapy for anybody out there who holds it in that's lost a loved one to suicide. Maybe this will give somebody some comfort and some understanding that they're not alone. And if you're going through it, man, reach out. Get just some support. It's not going to bring them back, but it's definitely healing to talk about it. Appreciate you guys listening to my story. Just know no matter what battle you're going through, you're not alone.